everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tails Crafts, and today I'll be showing you the first 5 cards that I created with the Simon Says Stamp August 2019 card kit. This kit was birthday and panda themed, so the stamp set included some really cute pandas and a panda die set came in the kit. If you want to see the entire contents of the kit, I will link it down below if the kit is still available, since I didn't include an unboxing in today's video. But what I'm doing now is I stamped and now I'm clear heat embossing all of the stamped images that came in the kit. And that is because I used my VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp out all these images. And I wanted to use my Copic markers, and because VersaFine Onyx Black ink is not an alcohol-friendly ink, I knew that if I clear heat embossed everything, I would be able to use my Copic markers. And the reason why I went for Onyx Black instead of Memento Tuxedo Black is because I wanted my pandas to be a very crisp black, and I knew I was going to get a more crisp image with my VersaFine ink rather than my Memento ink. And now I'm going to start coloring all of these images. I did color all the balloons and the birthday accessories in rainbow colors, and for the most part I include the Copic caps on my screen. If you don't see the cap, I'm going to try to list out every single marker here on my coordinating blog post. But I typically use 3 markers for every image. And for this little panda, I actually masked out his mouth, so when I stamped him or inked him up, I wiped off his mouth, and that's because I want to give him a frowny face instead of a smiley face, and you'll see why in the upcoming card that I use this panda on. And when I color, I always start with my darkest, and then I'll go over the dark color with my midtone, and then I'll go over the entire image with my lightest marker. In the case of the balloons, I left the highlight in the center of the balloon, and then I left my darker shadows on the edges of the balloon to make it look more rounded. For all my pandas, I use C2 and C0 on the white areas just to give them some extra dimension. So I first go over them with my C2, and then I go over the C2 with my C0. Some people like to go in with their colorless blender and try to blend it more into the white, but I kind of just like the C2 and the C0 together. I gave all my pandas little blushies with my R20 marker. And I decided to just stamp, color, emboss, and fussy cut all these images before I started my 10 cards, because I find that I work a lot quicker this way. I actually realized that I use more images too. So in the past, I might have only felt like, inking up a few images, and my cards wouldn't be as full as they are now. And that's because I have more images to work with than I thought I needed, if that makes sense. So I always stamp and color more than I need, and because of that, I can add more images onto a card. So I just kind of prefer doing it this way. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you kind of maybe have noticed that. And I actually colored the presents in Christmas colors because I knew I wanted one of my cards to be Christmas themed, and I don't always have an exact idea before I start my 10 cards. I might know the color scheme I want. I might know if I want to make a Christmas card or a Valentine card. So that's kind of how I pick my colors. I don't usually have a full-blown card idea in my head. I'll just have, which images do I want to use, which color scheme do I want to use, that kind of thing. So in the case of this panda, I knew I wanted to have an all-blue monochromatic card, so I am going to color this panda in shades of blue and gray. So I do some pre-planning ahead of time, just not my entire cards. And now here's everything fussy cut. I actually have a few more off camera, but I am now going over all of these images with the shimmer pen that came in the kit. And I do like this pen, but I think I still prefer the Wink of Stella pen. I just like the gold shimmer that comes from the Wink of Stella. This is more of a silver shimmer, which is also very pretty. And that will complete the coloring and the fussy cut. Okay, so now I can start card 1. I'm going to take a few of my cloud dies. These are from Memory Box, and I'm going to die cut these from some white cardstock. And then I will start to work on my sentiment. I chose the birthday sentiment that came in the stamp set. I'm going to ink that up with my Versamark ink and stamp that over some black cardstock. And then I will go over the sentiment with my white embossing powder. This is by Recollections. It is my favorite white embossing powder. And then I'll just heat set that with my heat tool. And then I can start creating my little scene here. I chose the cloud paper that came in the kit, and I thought that this would be cute for my idea. I wanted this panda to be flying above the clouds with his little balloon. So I'm going to stamp that balloon onto this cloud paper. And the reason why I did this is because I did not want to fussy cut those teeny tiny little strings. This way I could just fussy cut the happy balloon and pop it up over the strings that I stamped onto the pattern paper. So I added some foam tape behind the happy, and I will also add foam tape behind my panda to pop him up. And this was my very first idea when I got this kit. I thought that this little panda was so cute to have holding the balloons. And then I'm going to cut out my birthday sentiment with my scissors. I'm just cutting a rectangle. And I'm also going to pop up the birthday sentiment. And then I'm going to take those die cut clouds that I cut out, and I'm going to glue them flat onto this panel. I'm going to tuck a few of the clouds behind the panda and the sentiment. I am using my art glitter glue to attach these clouds, and then I'm going to trim off the excess so that I can use that excess in other places on this little strip here. That way I didn't have to cut into a whole new cloud. And I actually had a few clouds left over that I will use on another card. So now I'm finished gluing down the clouds. I wanted to add a strip of black behind this panel on the two side edges. So I just took some scrap strips of black and glued those behind the cloud strip, and now behind those black strips I'm going to add a little strip of the rainbow pattern paper that came in the kit. Then I'll just trim off the excess with my scissors. And I decided to use the pink cardstock that came in the kit. For all the 8.5 by 11 sheets, I create card bases out of those. So I decided to use the pink card base for this card. And that will complete card number 1. For card 2, I'm going to be creating that Christmas card that I was talking about earlier. So I'm taking a few of my Daris oval dies, and I'm going to die cut a black oval and a smaller red oval that I die cut from the pattern paper that came in the kit. I'm going to add some foam tape behind the patterned paper so that I can pop it over my black oval. And then I'm going to take this panda. I actually did not color his cake because I knew I wanted to replace the cake with a present. And then I'm going to flip him around and add some foam tape behind him. And then I'm going to take the candy cane looking present, and I thought that it would be cute to have the laying down panda lay on top of this present. He fits perfectly on top. I'm going to pop him up as well. This panda was by far my favorite. I use him in a lot of cards. So I actually wanted to shift this present down slightly, so I did just pull it up, and luckily I was able to shift it downwards. And then I also added a smaller present, and I'm going to add another present behind both of the pandas. And then I'm going to work on my sentiment. I chose a Be Merry die cut. This is by Lawn Fawn, and I die cut that from some gold glitter paper. And then I took some pattern paper I had in my stash that's Christmas themed, and I'm going to layer this red strip on top of this green snowflake paper that I cut to 4 by 5¼ inches. And then I'm going to add my Be Merry to that red strip using my art glitter glue. And this is a pretty simple card. It was fast to put together, especially since I had these pandas already colored and the presents and everything fussy cut. So I'm just going to add some ATG tape behind that black oval and then adhere it right above my Be Merry sentiment. And I decided to use the black card base that I created from the 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that came in the kit. Going to add some ATG behind my green pattern paper and just adhere that directly onto my card base. So that was very quick and simple, and I love this card. It's so cute. Here's a close-up. Okay, for card 3, I wanted to create a square card, so I'm going to take a few of my Stitch square dies, and I'm going to die cut a smaller white square and a larger blue square. I'm also going to die cut a black banner from my Heartfelt Creations arrows and banner dies. These are probably my new favorite dies. I've used them in a lot of videos, if you've noticed. And I used to firmly believe that you could create your own banners with scissors, and you certainly can. But for some reason, I can never cut a straight line. So I'm really happy that I got these dies. So for this white square, I thought it would be cute to create sort of like a pattern paper with this Oh My Gosh stamp that came in the stamp set. And I'm going to create a gradient with it. So I'm going to start with a dark blue color. And I'm using a scrap of paper here so that I don't stamp past that stitched line. So I'll use it on both sides of the square, and then I'm going to transition into a sky blue color, which I think I do now. I am using my Memento Dewdrop inks, and surprisingly they last a pretty long time. I've had some of these colors for over 2 years now, just because I don't usually use a lot of colored inks. So that's why I don't like to buy the full ink pad of colored inks. So I do recommend these dewdrops. I really like them. And at first I thought I was going to place my crying panda in the center of this square, but I felt that he was too big and he covered too many of the Oh My Goshes. So I will shift him over to the right a little bit. And then for this last row, I wanted gray, so I'm going to take my gray flannel Memento ink, and I'm actually going to use the second generation of the gray, because I felt that the first generation was too dark, and I should have spaced out my Oh My Goshes more because I only have one row of the gray, but I think it looks fine. So now I'm going to work on my sentiment. I chose, Did I Really Forget Your Birthday? I'm So Sorry, and I'm so happy that this stamp set included a Sorry I Missed Your Birthday sentiment, because I always forget people's birthdays all the time, so I'm sure I will be using this stamp a lot. I will, of course, white heat emboss the sentiment, and I'm also going to use that cute little laying down panda again, and I masked off his mouth like I said earlier so that I can create a frowny face, so that he went more with the crying panda. I thought that was cute. And so now I'm taking those leftover clouds, and this wasn't my first thought, but they were kind of just laying on my desk, and I thought that they would be cute on this card. So now I can start building my scene. I'm going to adhere my panda onto the Oh My Gosh panel, and then I'm going to flip the panda and the panel over so that I can add foam tape behind it. And then I'm going to adhere my darker blue square onto this light blue pattern paper that I had in my stash. This is cut to 5 by 5 inches. And I didn't like any of the pattern papers that came in the kit. I felt that they didn't match the idea I had in my head, so I did just go ahead and use a pattern paper from my stash, but you could probably use one that came in the kit. I'm going to trim down my sentiment and tuck the sentiment behind my crying panda. And then I thought that the little laying down panda would be cute on top of the Oh My Gosh panel. And he actually has a red bow tie. I forgot that I wanted the laying down panda. So I should have colored his bow tie blue, but I think it's fine. There's a little pop of red. So now I'm going to take my leftover clouds and just glue them straight down onto the striped panel with some art glitter glue. And then I'm going to add some ATG tape behind the striped panel and glue it onto my white card base here. That is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches, and that will complete card number 3. Super cute. For card 4, I'm going to do some more die cutting, so I'm taking a few of my stitched rectangle dies and I'm going to cut a few rectangles from the pattern papers that came in the kit. And I'm also going to die cut a black banner from that same Heartfelt Creations Banners and Arrows die set. And this banner happens to go perfectly across a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel. And of course I'm going to white heat emboss my sentiment, Happy Birthday. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly heat set that, and then I can start creating my little birthday scene here. So I wanted to use that panda with the cake, and I chose this panda because I wanted to use the sentiment, I'm here for the party and all the cake. I thought that sentiment was super cute. And then I'm just taking a bunch of my fussy cut images and I'm just going to create a little scene. I wanted to give him a rainbow hat, and then also these rainbow packages all around him. And then I'll add a few of the balloons that I cut out. And I did pop up my panda, and I'm going to adhere the balloons in the packages with my art glitter glue. I'm going to tuck one more balloon behind him. So I'm just going to shift him a little bit more to the right, and luckily I was able to pull the panda up without ripping the pattern paper. And here I'm just deciding if I want the red balloon or the heart balloon, and I end up choosing the little heart. Okay, so that will complete my little scene. And I'm just going to lay it over the candle pattern paper. I decided to pop up my sentiment, and I felt like the green rectangle was kind of blending in too much, so I'm also going to pop up the green panel. I think if I were to do this card again, I might mat some black cardstock behind the green panel, but I think it looks good, so. And I felt that the left side of the sentiment was too bare, so I'm going to take some of the confetti and the star dies that came in the stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp a few of those around the sentiment. And then I took a black marker and I filled some of those stars and those confettis in with the black, just to add, I guess, some more black to the card. And then I decided to adhere it onto that teal card base that came in the kit, and that will complete card 4. For my final card, I wanted to use the panda die that came in the kit, so I'm going to die cut it from the white and black flocked paper that came in the kit, and I'm also going to die cut a scalloped stitched rectangle frame from some black cardstock using my stitched rectangle and a scalloped stitched rectangle. And then I also freehand cut a red rectangle from some of the pattern paper that came in the kit. And now I'm going to work on my sentiment. I chose It's Your Birthday, and I'm going to ink it up with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and stamp it towards the top of that red rectangle. And then here I'm just using my frame to make sure that I don't stamp it too high. And then I'm going to stamp this other sentiment that says, "You're allowed to cause as much pandemonium as you like." I thought that sentiment was adorable. I love punny sentiments. And I did stamp that onto a white Heartfelt Creations banner die. And I wanted to create a shaker card, so I'm going to layer some acetate behind my black frame. Just going to cut the acetate with my scissors. Make sure that's really adhered down. I did use my art glitter glue. Okay, and then I'm going to adhere my red rectangle onto this rainbow pattern paper that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, so it will cover my card base completely. I decided to shift the red rectangle a little bit higher so that I could move my panda a little bit downwards and it wouldn't cover too much of the sentiment. Okay, and now I'm just kind of figuring out what this might look like. I decided to include a little heart balloon with this panda. And then I'm going to start my shaker card. So I'm going to add 2 layers of 3M foam tape behind this frame. I do use my 3M for thin shaker cards because my U-line tape is very sticky and it can ruin my scissors. So if I know I'm going to create a shaker with a thin border around it, I will typically use my 3M instead of my U-line. So I did I lost some footage, should I say, of me adding the sequins in, but all I did was I added some pink, some purple, some white and clear, and then some teeny tiny purple stars into that shaker. And then I also adhered my white banner to the bottom of my black frame. And now I'm going to attach my panda. I decided to glue him more towards the left of the shaker. And then I put the little heart balloon in his hand. I will add some foam tape to the side of that balloon where it touches the rainbow paper, just so that it's nice and sturdy. And now here I'm just shaking the shaker. I really love the sequins that I put in. I thought about doing rainbow sequins, but I thought that with the rainbow paper it might have been too much, so I just stuck with purple, pink, and white, and I think it turned out really cute. So that will complete card number 5. So I will not include the showcase of the 5 cards because I will have a part 2 video coming up shortly, and that will show all 10 cards that I created. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, and I'll see you next time. Bye!